Hello, I'm Barbara Levin, and I'm speaking today with Emele Peters, one of the MCCC board members and longtime supporters. Emele, welcome, and
Thank you.
thank you. And can you tell us a little about yourself? For instance, how long have you been in McHenry County?
We moved here in 1970 from Okemos, Michigan, which is a very little town outside of the Michigan State University campus. And the school system reflected that because they were quite progressive. And the reason I
Wow.
say that is when we moved to Crystal Lake, which was to have this great school system, we were a little shocked that it was a little bit less than that. And our one son, who was going to be in an experimental program in Okemos, was not in that same type of format. So it was kind of disappointing to him. So I do remember Barbara very clearly going to a meeting, and I don't remember which meeting it was, but I asked a question. Of course, I was always wanting to find out how things worked, and I was told very abruptly that this is the way things worked here
Mm.
and that they were not going to change them. And I thought, oh, really?
Wow. You know, my first reaction to Okemos is that that sounds like a crossword clue because it had so many has I suspect it has a lot of vowels. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So, but it's very interesting because Crystal
Mhm.
Lake is probably the more progressive cities in McHenry County. How did you get involved with McHenry County Citizens for Choice?
Well, it kind of goes way back because I've always been very drawn to issues of women and also for equality of all. And when I found out that they were going to meet, I was only too anxious to go to the meeting. And the first one I remember attending, although I may have gone to more, was at the Crystal Lake Library, the public library. And that's where I met many of the other members who were interested and still are on the board today, a few of them. And I've just been delighted to be associated with such fine women for 25 years. This has been my
Wow.
affiliation.
Wow, that's incredible. So is that the same? The Have you been drawn to the pro-choice movement that entire time? Did it precede the 25 years?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Equality was always a key issue to me. When we lived in Okemos, I was a member of the League of Women Voters and learned so many things through the League. I think the League should have taught my government course in high school because I learned so much more because we actually did so much more. We would observe different public entities that were meeting and all, and we would observe what they were doing. And that was always fascinating to me. I was always interested in that.
Wow, it is interesting to considering what's going on in politics now. You probably can't believe it. Um, what would those women say? Um, and also with the League of Women Voters, maybe you had more opportunity to hear about women's history because we didn't get too much of it in our general classes.
That's for sure. That is for sure. And
As you say.
we're today seeing movies that are featuring those very difficult days, the women's suffragette movement and that type of thing. And young women are seeing these and going, oh, I didn't know those things were going on. Yeah.
It is true. Do you, on that note, do you remember in 1973 when the Supreme Court issued the Roe v. Wade decision?
Yes, yes.
Wow.
And I'm guessing at this, to be perfectly honest, Barbara, we are big radio listeners. We listen to NPR every morning. It's a childhood habit that has, stuck until this day, where I turn it on first thing in the morning and listen to NPR. And I believe that is where I first heard that Roe v. Wade had passed. And then, of course, I had the delightful experience of meeting Sarah Weddington many years ago, and she debated Phyllis Schlafly. And that was quite an evening,
Oh, that must have been amazing.
Yeah, it really was. It really was. So,
why do you think there's still a stigma about choice?
oh, I think, unfortunately, it pains me to admit this, but the antis have been very, very clever in their deception and their representation of what a woman's right to choose is all about. Mm-hmm. And also they have frightened so many people, the professionals as well. And it's really such a sad case, I think, for everyone when they stand on street corners and bellow and prevent women from going into the clinics. And oftentimes they're going into the clinics perhaps for an exam, for a gynecological exam, and not always for an abortion. Not that that's either here nor there. They shouldn't be trying to block their entrance. But they have really, they have shouted louder. I think they have shouted louder, and they have misrepresented so many facts, and people glom onto that, or glam on, well, I don't know which way that went, and people only hear little sound bites of things, and they believe them, and for many years, and I think there are still women who believe having an abortion can cause breast cancer, and that is totally erroneous, and it has no reason or factual reason, but that spreads like wildfire. They put out misinformation, and that's what happens. And so I think that's the stigma.
That's so well said. One of the things that I know we've talked about at MCCC is that we're not attracting the young women into the movement, and I think that's isomorphic. That's happening all across the U.S. Mm-hmm. How do you think we should attract or involve the young people in the process?
I don't know that I have the one answer, Barbara, but I do know that younger women have great demands on their time. They are professional women. They are also have children at home, and there are so many things demanding their time. And so I think it's very difficult to capture their attention. I have noticed, though, when we've had some younger women come to the meetings and all, they do like activity. They do like to demonstrate or to do something. We have a road cleanup, and some of the women that we don't see a lot will come and do that activity. So I know in my younger days, I did marches and things like that, and there were a lot more younger women. So I believe that perhaps would attract more. I'm not saying we have to manufacture these things, but I do think that's it. I'd like to ask some of them, what is keeping you from volunteering or for being part of this?
Yes, that's so astute what you just said, and people keep reminding me. Most young women grew up. 73 is a long time ago. Most people grew up where this was part and parcel of their everyday life. So I can see. Maybe this election will energize things. I'm not sure.
Oh, I hope so.
Oh, I hope so too. Emily, it is so delightful to talk to you. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Mary has bragged about all your conversations.
Oh, well,
she said,
yeah. Well, yeah. Yes, we're in love currently. So thank you. And I'm going to. So I will leave you now and We'll talk again. Thank you.
Okay, Barbara. Wonderful to talk with you.
Wonderful to talk with you. Toby's Fund for Women's Health is a 501c3 project of McHenry County Citizens for Choice Education Fund. If you wish to get involved with Toby's Fund or MCCC, contact us at info@mccctoby'sfund.org. Thank you.